consciousness that operates this computer is the spark of the divine in yourself. When you touch that, you can operate any computer. You're not confined to your body anymore. It becomes infinite. So, this is what we are seeking, and this is what we need to find. And there are many ways to do it. So, one of the ways is devotion. The mind in many people decides that what I am seeking is so infinite and so big that I cannot work it out with my puny little limited brain. So then what to do? Surrender. I'm not saying you should surrender your brain. Don't do that. Keep it intact. But you say, I cannot find it using my brain because my brain is so limited. We think it's not limited, but it's very limited. You will be surprised. You may not be surprised. It's quite logical. Okay. How can we trust our body and our eyes and our mind? How can we trust it? Every morning we see the sun rising. Here it's always there. In India, every morning we see the sunrise. And every evening we see it set. Both here. Yesterday I don't think it set, it was there throughout. So I put this thing and slept. So it rises and it sets. Now if you ask even a high school boy, who's gone to high school, young boy, say the sun is rising, he said, no, Papa, the sun doesn't rise and set. Then it's the world that is moving. Okay. But you see every day with your eyes. If seeing is believing, then the sun must be rising and setting. But it is not. The earth is moving. So can we believe our eyes? That's what I'm saying. How reliable are the eyes? How reliable? You look, they are the instruments of perception we have, the eyes. And the eyes show something, but actually something else. We know the optical illusions, right? It happens everywhere. Long ago I met somebody, we were good friends, and we were good friends. And then after that, I went to a marriage party. In India, you know how marriages are. So, lights. And then one lady came to me and said, "Oh, hello, why are you not talking to me?" I said, "Why should I talk to you? I don't know you." She said, in 10 minutes, she had done some makeup. I don't know who she is. It took me some time. Oh, okay. Here something hanging till here, all kind. So, you never know. You can't believe your eyes. It is the same person. It's changed. You know what I mean? So, you can't believe your eyes. You cannot believe your ears. Our ear has a certain frequency. Beyond that, it cannot register. Beyond that, if you make a sound, you can't register. Below that, you make a sound, you cannot register. When you ring a bell, you think the bell is rung and it has stopped. No, it's going on. It doesn't stop. But I can't hear it because my ear cannot take that frequency. It's the same with everything. So the instrument of perception is as important as what is perceived. So you cannot trust really anything in this world based on our five senses. But in the practical world, yes, we have to live. When you go to a supermarket, you should know which brand to take. I understand that. But what I'm trying to say, in the ultimate sense, we don't know really how we are carrying on with life. We depend on the five senses. And the five senses are very misleading. Okay, one example. Since I heard that in Finland the education system is great, so I'm sure people are thinking. So, yeah, I see this watch in a particular shape. Yes, you also see the same shape because the lens of your eyes are made like mine. When I was born and you were born, the eye lens inside my eye is made exactly similar, almost similar. So when I see a watch round, you also see a watch round, and I can change the name. You may call it watch and I can call it ghadi, but it is the same thing. I see the same shape because my instrument of perception, the eye, has a particular kind of lens by birth. Okay. Now imagine house fly. Do you have flies here? Household flies? Yeah? Mm-hmm. You have. I thought maybe you don't have because of the cold.
Yeah, there are not as many.
Not like in India. You sit down and eat, you know. So, in the fly, if you read about it, you will find that it has something called a compound eye, which means many little eyes together. It's called a compound eye. It's different from our eyes. So if the fly looks at this watch, how will the shape of the watch be to the fly? It will be different. It will be many, many round circles. I don't know how it will. I have not got into the fly and looked. So I don't know. Certainly different because the instrument is different. So the question is, if the fly sees it in a different shape and I see it in a different shape, what is its actual shape really? The great poet Alexander Pope said, the difference is as great between the optic seeing as the object seen. So what is the reality? I mean, the fly sees it different. And the fly might call it a watch, maybe, I don't know, it never wears much. And I see it in a different way because my instruments are different, but I see it. Both the fly and I both see. There is a witness seeing it, but not the shape that we think is real. So, if that is the case, if what I see depends on my sight, on my, how can we define that this thing is this? It exists, of course. This watch exists, but it exists for different creatures in different ways. So what is its ultimate? What I am trying to say is that we say we experience this world. We don't actually experience. We experience the image of the world that is given to us through the senses. That's all we know. We really don't know. If I get into the soul of an elephant and look around, I might see human beings as different. Now I know why many elephants get frightened and run, because probably their eyes are such that they see human beings like huge beings. Probably. We don't know how it is inside them because we can't get into them. Well, some yogis can get in, but generally not. You can't see. So what I am trying to say is the only contact we have with the world and which we call real is according to us, not in reality. But something is, there is no question. There is something. And that something is consciousness. It's not form, it's not shape. And it's everywhere, it's all pervading. It's in me, it's in you. So how do I know it? When I break all my conditioning, my bondages, when I say that way, I cannot be just this, my body and my mind. It must be something more, and I look for it. Then I know the truth. Otherwise, they are very relative. They are not absolute. This world is not absolute. So, some people seeing this for many lives, well, I believe in many lives, when they are born, they come out with the understanding, this is nonsense. So what? Let's attach our minds to the Supreme Being. This is of no meaning. And this is called bhakti or devotion, where you don't ask for anything except that I want to see you or I want to experience you. You meaning the divine. But everybody cannot do that because you can't cultivate it. It is either there or it is not there. It's spontaneous. If I say I am cultivating devotion, how can you? It's like saying I am cultivating love, not possible. You either love or you don't love. You cannot cultivate love. You can cultivate a way of expression, but you really cannot cultivate love. It is there or it is not there. In the same way, devotion comes to some because I think of their past lives or because they see somebody in love. This is possible. There are some people, sages, some great beings who are always in love with the divine. So, you don't need any logic there. If you meet them or if you talk to them, if you see them, you suddenly feel yes. So you don't know what they're doing, but you know it. And this love is very intoxicating. It's like, I don't know how to say, it's like, sometimes I don't get these words. It's like getting fully drunk, let's put it this way. Not vodka, but you know, it's it is having a repeated tipplers continuously for. It's a very intoxicating feeling of love that happens by itself. And if somebody has it, then when you go to that person, then you feel, because of the sympathy between two minds, and especially if your mind is purified enough, then you feel it. There's no other way to feel it. Some people call it Shaktipat. Now when you say Shaktipat, the receiver has to be pure and empty enough to receive it, otherwise it's not possible. There was a great yogi or a realized soul called Nityananda. Not the Nityananda now, no. Many years ago there was a Nityananda. And I don't know if you don't have a picture here. I find everybody but Nitya. He was a big man, very dark and big sitting. And some of his people who were associated with him, they also became great yogis. By doing nothing, just being associated. But there was a flower seller who lived with him, slept with him for 20 years, nothing happened to him. Because he was interested only in flower selling. You know what I mean? So it depends on the receiver also to a great degree. I'm sure he tried to give him also something, but but he tried to put flowers in front. It didn't work. So what I'm trying to say, sometimes it's possible, and it's like when you're in that ecstasy, it's like you're completely gone. But then you will not taste anything better in this world. So by long periods you would like to go back there, you know. It's a very good cure for people who are alcoholic. This is a good alcoholism. That is not good, the other. There was, you've heard of Swami Vivekananda, right? Yes. Have you heard of his guru? Yeah? Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. At least some of you must have heard. So he was an unlettered person, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Swami Vivekananda, Swamiji was very well read and he was a graduate and all that. And he knew English, but Ramakrishna Paramahamsa could barely write his name in Bengali. And from him came Vivekananda, imagine. A man who knew no let. Yeah, he was just a village priest staying in the temple. And then he became illumined. And most of the time, he was basically a devotional person. Not so with yoga, kriya, nothing. He was just a devotional person. Please, my tradition is yoga. I'm sorry about this, but so he was a devotional person, and his heart was always full of the goddess and in ecstasy most of the time. In fact, when the bell rang in the Kali temple, people who did not know him thought that he was drunk because he couldn't walk properly. He used to talk and go there, and his eyes used to be red. So they thought maybe this guy is secretly drinking. So one day, anybody has been to Calcutta? No. In India, there is. It was the first British capital before it shifted to Delhi, Calcutta. The first Indians to play cricket were in Calcutta because it was the British capital for 100 years. Not 100, 50 years. So anyway, he was going in a horse chariot. Not chariot, those days there were no cars, very few cars, so they used to go in a horse cart. What is it called? Carriage, horse carriage. I saw some in Interlaken for the tourists. Yeah. So he was going in that, and there were two more people with him, and they were passing the main street, which is called the Esplanade. It's an English name, Esplanade. And they were passing, and suddenly he saw a man on the footpath, somebody, he didn't know who, but somebody on the footpath who was completely drunk. He couldn't even walk, he was going like this. So he said, stop. Okay. So they stopped. He got off from that. He ran to him and he hugged him. And he said, look, we are brothers, you are drunk, I am drunk. We are brothers. Don't worry about anything. We are brothers. So, and he was dancing with him, and that man didn't know who this was. He was also joined in this dance. And then with great difficulty they said, please come. They used to call him Thakur. They said, please come. You leave him. He said, drunk. Can you leave him? Oh really? He said, yeah, we are like brothers. He is drunk. He said, yeah, all right, please come. So they took him by force almost and put him in the carriage, and then they went off. Now this incident was forgotten by people. Nobody thought about it much. Several years later, when he died, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa passed away, and the big headquarters of the Ramakrishna mission was built by Swamiji in Calcutta. And one day, a monk was meditating inside the shrine. Now if you go, you will see a marble image of Ramakrishna Paramahamsa. Those days, there was no image, there was only an old photograph of his. So this monk was meditating inside, and he heard some sound outside. So he came out from the sanctum into the temple, and he saw a very tall man standing with matted hair on his head, like big matted hair, and wearing only a white cloth. And when he saw him, he said, do you belong to this place? And he said, yes, I belong to this place. Okay. So, you see that picture there inside? Yeah. Can I hug that picture? He said, no. It's in the sanctum, you cannot hug that picture. Okay. He said, but why do you want to hug the picture? He said, you may not know, you are very young. Many years ago, I was a complete alcoholic. I was fully drunk. And I was walking on the streets, a carriage came and stood. And this man, he came down from the carriage, and I have since been searching where he is. I heard he is dead. Now I heard that his picture is here. He came off, and he was behaving exactly like me, like a drunk. And he hugged me, and he cried, and he hugged me. And he danced. He said, "You are my brother, you are drunk, I am drunk." And then they forced him and they took him away. So then what happened? Then nothing happened. He said, "From that day, I have not touched a drop of alcohol, but I am always drunk." There's something inside me so nice, so beautiful. I am drunk, I don't need alcohol anymore. He said, I went back home and I sat down and I said, "Hey, what's happening to me?" So then I searched for this man for years, and then I heard he's passed away. They said he's in the Dakshineshwar temple. I went there, then they said he's passed away. Then they said some of his followers, his disciples have built a temple, go there. That's why I came, and I see that only his picture. Can I hug this picture, please? So the young brahmachari who was there, he said, thought for some time, and he said, "Yeah, I think you can hug this picture." So he went inside and he hugged the picture. And he danced, put it back, and he went away. So nobody knew where he went, because when they went behind to look for him, he had gone. He ran after that full speed and escaped somewhere. And nobody knows where he went. So this is true devotion. When it happens in the heart, it is very infectious, like a disease. It spreads, a good disease. It spreads, you know. So that is one approach to the divinity. This happens spontaneously. Mirabai used to be a queen in Rajasthan, and she was fond of the divinity as Krishna. And she used to worship him constantly. And her husband was the king of Rajasthan. He tried many ways to stop it, but nothing. And she finally, it is said that when she died, she was holding Krishna in the shrine and she passed away. See, so these are rare instances. It's not, people think devotion is easy. It is not. This is what I am trying to say. It's something difficult actually, because when you are going, you say, "Oh, this is foolish," or some other thought will come. No, it can't be. But some people are there, they break free and go. So then it is possible. Then there are other approaches to this divinity. If you look at the other side, I will come to Kriya later, don't worry. Look at Ramana Maharishi. He did not do any Kriya, nothing. So first we need to say, before we come to this, right? So, this was a young man who, people say he didn't have a guru, but I think he didn't have a guru in this life. I also think that perhaps he had some people who helped him. One of them was a person called Sheshadri Swami, who used to wander around Thiruvananthapuram. In his early days, he sat with him and talked to him and tried to make him understand. Yeah, but he didn't have someone like a proper guru. The thing is, I think he was a man who had prepared for many lives, and this was his last life. So he might have had some teachers, we don't know. What I am trying to say is that when he was 15 years old, he had a spontaneous experience. He didn't do anything, he was not meditating. The only quality he had was when he slept, nobody could wake him. He slept like a log. That's the only peculiar thing, otherwise there was nothing peculiar. But he was born in a Brahmin family of priests. So one day, when he was 15 years old, he was lying in his cot, and then he said, "Hey, I'm going to die." So this thought came to him, I'm going to die. So he said, "Okay, then if I die I will be taken to the crematorium. For India we have fire, not electric, wood. So he said he has seen some people die. So when people die, how are they taken to the crematorium and how they are lying down? So he also lay down like a dead body. So now they will take me to the crematorium. And then suddenly he saw that he was somewhere near the roof and he was looking down and his body was lying like a dead body down. He said, so I am not this body, it is dead and I am standing here and looking at it. So I cannot be this body, I am different from it. It was a spontaneous experience, mind you. He didn't do any sadhana till then. But that convinced him that he was not the body because he was out and he was looking at the body. Right? So he said, if I am not the body, then what can I be? Am I the mind? He dismissed that. No, I cannot be the mind. He dismissed it in a simple way by saying, this is the other path, the path of jnana or wisdom. He said, I am wearing these clothes. When I wear these clothes, finally he took off all clothes. I am wearing these clothes. And when I am wearing these clothes, people identify me also along with the clothes and say, oh, this is so and so. This is M who is wearing a jacket. But when I take out the jacket, take off my clothes and hang them there, they are not me. They are mine, but not me. So what is mine cannot be me. You know what? His thought process, he was very young. He said, what is mine cannot be me. So body is mine, mind is mine, thinking is mine, everything is mine. So I have to be different from that. They are mine, they belong to me. I am not that. And this thought came to him so deeply that he ran away from home. And he sat in many places on the hill, in the caves, in various places. Nobody taught him anything. He was fully absorbed in this inner self to which everything else belonged. But then one day it exploded and he said, yeah, I am that, I am not this. And then he came down. He came down also because somebody brought him down, otherwise he would have sat in the mountain. And the Western world began to know about him because Paul Brunton wrote a book about Maharishi. Otherwise nobody would have known. He sat there quietly and he hardly talked. Look at us, we are going on talking all the time. He didn't talk, he just sat. He said few words, very few words, but the rest of the time he was silent. Because he said there's no point in talking, what I found cannot be put in words. So be silent. So everybody cannot do that. You can't imitate that. That's what I'm trying to say. There are different kinds of yogis, So this was Ramana Maharishi. There is one side. There is Mirabai and Ramakrishna Paramahamsa on the other side. I'm giving you these examples to show that there are many approaches to this. This is one approach. This is one approach. The reason, the core is more important than the way. The reason why we get into trouble is because after a while, even in religion, forget mysticism, even in religion, somebody has an experience, a spiritual experience, one person. India it's several persons, but generally at least one person has some experience. And then based on that, for the time, for the people there, who are there, to change them and bring them to what he had, he puts out some rules. That becomes a religion. So it could be different in different localities for different people. This we have to bear in mind. After some time, it expands because people see what he's saying is right and so on, and it expands. Then the kings, the rulers take over, and then the rulers want to occupy kingdoms, so they use this religion. And then after some time you cannot make out the truth because it is all imperialism, expansion. So what's happened is the structure has become more important than the core. Then it's finished. is over. So it's 6 o'clock about. So let me add a last story, which is my favorite story. It was told to me by a in those days, very old man. I was very young, who is well known. I don't want to name him, because if I name him, you will be prejudiced. So this was also his favorite story. He said once the devil, Satan, and his very good friend, they went for a walk. So the devil bent down and picked up something from the grass and put it in his pocket. His friend said, "Hey, what have you picked up just now?" So the devil said, "I have picked up the truth." Truth. So his friend said, "Then you are the opposite of truth. You are darkness. You are not light. And if you have picked up the truth and put it in your pocket, you are finished. Your days are numbered now. You are gone. You are dead." So the devil smiled and tapped him on his shoulder and said, "Don't worry, friend, I'll organize it." This is the problem. Otherwise there is no problem. Then the organization becomes more powerful than the reality. Now, for instance, I try to fight it to the best of my capacity, but it doesn't work for human beings. Satsang foundation will become more important than M. No, it won't. I'll try my best. I keep away sometimes, And every year, when the annual general body meeting takes place, I leave the place. I said, "If you want a new president, please get him. I'm out." Same, they again propose my name and I come back. I don't know how long this will go on. One day I will get out. I will be free. I want to be free. I was always free, but even these things. It's like. So today, just now, the welcome satsang is over. Thank you. Thank you very much.